Welcome back. We got the proper races this time around. Fantastic. It's game number 4 in the semifinals. It's a best of 5. Spawning here in the bottom right corner of the map, it is going to be the blue Terran. He likes blue. It is fantasy.
In the upper left as the red Zerg, it's Dead Pixels True.
Man, that game, let's not forget, as weird as that game came down to as far as the ending, that hinged off of fantasy failing a 2x rather miserably.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No,
I thought that it's correct. I thought that he would actually do pretty well. Really, I didn't want to just be like no Rifkin. I think he's gonna do perfectly fine because, I mean, you don't often see failed 2-axes macro out of that so well, but
right. I mean, he made the right steps. He got the 3rd CC. He did a lot of really good drops. He got some drone damage earlier than I expected, but still, I mean, it comes down to you failed a 2-rex.
I really think it didn't even come down to that. It came down to the counterattack was unaccounted for. That happens in any type of game, whether you open with a 2-ax, a 2-base, or a 3CC.
I mean, you got to consider the fact too. Okay, I don't disagree with what you've just said, but at the same time, True made so many how many Banelings died? How many Zerglings died to minimize that game, right? He got patch Terran the hell out of so many of his army, or so much of his army.
He was also going for kind of an all-in of his own, though. Right,
but that's what I mean. He was able to maintain being ahead because of that. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, we're behind it. Game number 4 here is not started with a 2x or ahead of it.
We're behind it.
It's past us. It's behind us. Whatever, man. When you leave, this cast is gonna suck so bad. But yeah, so he goes with the standard opening here. I like this too. You can certainly try and 2-rex on Foxtrot, but I think you're way more worried about your opponent all-inning you again. You know, True just showed you he's willing to all-in you on a map like Merry-Go-Round. He'll definitely be willing to do it on a map like Foxtrot Labs, especially in these spawn locations. Ooh, this is like a hiccup and a burp. I can inhale and exhale at the same time. What happened?
I can't handle this.
I'm sorry, everybody. That hurt though.
I was right in the mic. So anyways, we have fantasy opening up like he did on King Sejong. Yeah, that was it.
That's not high ground, True.
Yeah, apparently it's on high ground. I think True was really confused.
Well, it's because the fan blows it upwards. Wait, stop.
Wait, that's high ground. Whoa, no. Is that reactive?
I don't know. Yeah, was that only spinning because something was above it? Where's the other one?
Why would it do? Is it like a fan?
I don't know.
A motion sensor fan?
Who cares? It has no impact on the game. CC comes down. You know what this is right now, guys? It's not that this was early. We haven't even been casting that log. It's just this is the month of October finally getting to us. I'm so sorry. But the factory coming out here, we're going to see some nice elements come out of this. Again, it's going to be really worrisome trying to build anything, though, on the low ground, even if it's just getting those SCVs out. Just because, you're not going to have this wall up for quite some time. What we've been seeing a lot of Terran players actually do instead is get that bunker right next to the command center. Kind of go back old school. Think of, Entombed Valley days as far as, getting the wall off here at the expansion.
Well, fantasy goes for absolutely nothing, so I don't know about that. No bunker anywhere. But he is going for that drop again. Pretty much exactly like King Sejong. Now, he followed up King Sejong with Mech. As we recall, it went pretty poorly. But I don't know if he's going to do the same thing on Foxtrot. Especially, I feel like both... I don't know. Both bases for thirds are kind of weird. One has to break down rocks to get to. The other one is actually really far away. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I feel like a Terran player, worst case scenario, at least you can Planetary Fortress set up if you're really worried. But yeah, for Zerg, it's always a little bit more frustrating.
Did you stop with your Bronze League tactics?
Well, what if you're
planetaries?
If you're getting all in by True, you're not taking an orbital at your third.
I'm actually kidding. We've been seeing some people try and do planetaries at thirds in TBT, like actual professionals. Like Yumiho was one of the ones that did it, in fact. But I like the joke.
Cute, whatever. I can't deal with it today. You know what? Here's the thing. This is so dumb. I've never been able to burp for my life. So what just happened on stream was really weird for me.
I'm sorry, you've never been able to burp?
No, I've never been able to burp my entire life,
my God.
Ever. So it's really weird what just happened.
What's going on in StarCraft?
I still can't get over it. You guys don't understand. It's my first time burping. This drop gets cleared. This attack gets cleaned up pretty quickly.
That failed miserably. That wasn't even a drop. That was just an attack.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, Rifkin.
I'm sorry. Like, look, is there something you've never been able to do in your life? Maybe you can't roll your R's, or you can't like make that U thing with your tongue. Like,
can't roll my R's, but burping is not like that. I feel.
I think the first time you if you accidentally did it for the first time, you would laugh too. Okay, I'm sorry.
Burping is like something that you learn to do when you're a baby. Like you actually have to do. Like it's like you're supposed to burp a baby. Like it's supposed to be like a natural like reflex.
I'm reading the chat off delay. It's not helping. That was the weirdest sound ever. You guys don't understand. Like they were saying, I can't. Okay. And she coming to the main.
This game is doing stuff and things. I don't know.
Believe it or not, we're sober, guys. I'm sorry. The
really,
Banshee doesn't get much. There's no cloak on this. I mean, it was so limited on its potential in the first place.
True is going for 2-base Spire again. It's not the fastest Spire we ever seen. Like they're consistently coming out at like 10:30 or something like that. But Fantasy is also going back again. I'm not gonna be able to finish out this cast. I can tell you that.
Well, whenever you gotta go, just say goodbye, I guess. Great. This is called Professional Tuesdays. It's a theme here on Base Trade TV. Yeah, mech is it could just be that mech that ends up in the game. We see, I mean, there have been in the past a lot of these sort of like 150 supply pushes that catch somebody so overwhelmingly off guard, but Fanti has, I think he already played his card with like the mech build too early. Like normally you go mech in game 3 after you played bio twice because, oh surprise, you were expecting bio, so you've got all these lings, and really I come across with Hellbats and Thors.
Well, these Hellings are doing pretty good damage.
Yeah, that's actually great.
All the links. Amias are on the way, so they will be cleaned up, but maybe not before they get into the drone line?
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe.
Drone's just gonna be pulled. I like that he pulls them right away, but he's gotta be careful with stacking them. He's gotta spread them too. Okay, well, these Hellies are getting way more damage than I thought they would. 13 drones dead!
All of the drones died there. I thought he was gonna split, and that would have been, I feel,
that's what I thought too. Like he'll just leave the queens to clean it up, and like there'd be no damage really done ultimately at the end. But 15 drones is gonna sting because his third base has only just gotten up, but he doesn't have all that production.
Yeah. So this is a lot more like that first game where you saw lots of drone damage, and True kind of faltered after that one. Same thing happened again? I don't know. I don't know. But Fantasy is up in supply right now. He's up in bases. Yeah, but Fantasy at the front.
I feel like a changed man now, Zombie Girl.
You burped?
I see the world so differently.
You know, some people say that you become a man after you've had sex for the first time. For you, it's when you burp for the first time. I like that new cultural standard. Let's go with that.
Well, I know it's just gonna cause trouble on Twitch chat, but I guess I did it a little bit backwards. Whatever. As long as it gets done, I guess. I mean, I'm pretty sure burped is a bit. You know what? I'm so done with this topic. I can't read Twitch chat. I'm closing Twitch chat. This is so, like, I can't. Third base comes down for Fantasy. He's gonna have mules. The transfers, he takes down the rocks, is gonna be perfectly fine.
I hope he checks those supply depot walls, because I don't know if that supply depot they do down actually is like a wall. I think it's just like a snake.
Well, yeah, there's a big hole right here too, so I mean.
Besides that one.
Yes, Africa, that's definitely not a wall. You're right. Good call.
But that one he's gonna fill. The other ones I think is actually a wall.
Yeah, the top right, a little bit. Helly's cleaned up. Still gets a couple drone kills as he dives around here.
Oh god.
You're right. You know, I hope he realizes the wall too, because the SV's literally just walked through it to transfer to that third. This could get messy, but at the same time, almost I feel like that'd be almost great bait versus lings. Like you got two Hellbats suddenly on the other side, and rather than the lings flooding against the wall, they'll try and funnel through and just to their death. I mean, you'd probably be attacking down this path more than the natural, but still, just an off chance, maybe something cool could come of it. But I do like the constantly being active with Hellions. I thought this was a big problem when you did play mech before on the second game, where it was like just really turtly and really just painful. Oh, but nothing here at the natural. Hellions are going to get cleaned up by the mutas, but let's see how much damage they can do before they go down. I mean, for a mech player, minerals are really non-consequential. Like you have so many of them, you'll waste them on turrets, Hellions, whatever. You're supposed to be doing these run-bys. You don't need to trade out efficiently as long as you keep knocking these drones down. So 15 more drones die, still sitting on 64, taking us fourth. True's in a pretty darn good spot, but still 42 workers dead is 42 workers dead.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that True is just refusing to get Ling. So he has to bring the mutas back every single time. These mutas are supposed to be trying to find holes in defenses, but Fantasy has had so much time, 15 minutes, to get turrets, Thors, Vikings. There aren't any holes anymore. And I should probably go. So
Okay.
bye, y'all. Have fun with Rifkin.
Bye, Summer Grub. Have a good day. Thanks for joining me on the cast. Well, she takes off, guys. I don't actually know if we got someone else lined up to fill in for the finals. We'll find out. Worst case scenario, maybe it's her causing the shenanigans and not me. However, still walking around the map with these aliens, trying to just scout if nothing else. He knows there's not a lot of drones to kill here at the 4th. It's just been made. The transfer's not here, and yeah, gonna dive in. Okay, so as far as the game resumes from this point on, with the heavy Mutalisk count cleaning up all these Hellions, this has definitely encouraged True to invest in a few more. Lots and lots of Mutalisks can actually work against Mech, just because of the immobility of Mech. Not because the Mutalisks are good versus damage, versus Thors, versus Splash, or anything like that. It's just the fact that you can duck into the main, and by the time the Thors get there, you're already back at the 3rd. So I like all these turrets coming down. Oh my god, are you serious? Are you serious? I don't care about this damage going on. He's hit like 100 out of 100 on that turret. It's gonna burn as soon as it builds. He would have been better off canceling it. He's trying to protect his armory. Sadly, he's gonna lose those weapon upgrades too. Ooh, that really sucks because I think that was his only armory. So that's gonna cut into his Thor production quite heavily, and he's going to need more Thors. So double armor's coming down to replace this. More turrets on the way. I actually really like the heavy turret coverage though. Seriously, what we saw before was Hellions doing those run bys. Once he realized that the run bys weren't so effective, he started investing in a ton of missile turrets, and a ton of missile turrets will keep Mutalisks back. Make no mistake, they'll dive on 1 or 2 and that's fine, but if you've got like 6 missile turrets in a block, Mutalisks are very unlikely to go into that. But double armories, yeah, these need to finish back up. He can't produce Thors. Wood Mines might not be a bad choice either. Sneak a couple in. Hellions running by once again. These are kind of, these are almost like Mutalisks. The idea that he's drawing True back to have to defend, you can't just ignore these. So the army, whether it's in the north or split to the south like this, he has to chase them down. And this is Fantasy just buying himself time to get those turrets up, to get his armory back up, to get his Thor count where it needs to be. He's investing in more starports right now, and I really didn't think we'd see a secure 4th base, but he takes the one up here to the north. With some turrets down, a couple of Thors nearby too, he should be okay. This is when you start transitioning into Sky as a Terran player. If you really want to have a good time versus Swarm hosts, get Battle Cruisers, get Ravens. Get ready to play a slow frickin' game. The Swarm hosts will... actually, this is... I actually don't love this map for Swarm Host, just thinking on it, because normally you take like a map like Overgrowth, you can sit your Swarm Host down in one location, and they'll go to pretty much every base. You can try and pull that off like maybe here-ish, but it still puts you so close to the enemy lines, you don't ever want to be that close. So he kind of has to posture with the Swarm Host, and that's something you normally have to do. We'll see how well versus poorly he does it, but... back on track with the weapon upgrades. Fantasy did fall behind on this, and I like these getting up with the armor too. Honestly, armor upgrades not that big of a deal if you're going to ground, and I like the building armor too for these turrets. Talk about that more in a moment, but because he's investing in air, that's why he's going for the vehicle plating. It's going to benefit his Vikings, it's going to benefit his Ravens. Ooh, his Hellions not really getting much more damage done. Meanwhile, the Swarmos have been revealed at this point, so moving the tanks appropriately to try and intercept, to try and get position to take these fights. Fantasy, of course, with that sensor tower as well, is going to know from what angle the Mutalisks approach, and I like this because it'll give them time to position the Thors possibly, but I say possibly tentatively because while there's all these turrets out here, there's none in the back, and I think True's realized this, so stacks up, goes in for the mineral lines. Vikings come to intercept though. Oh, the Riders of Rohan come to reinforce this base. Meanwhile, Hellions sit on the other side of the mineral line, frying up a couple of drones. Really not a lot of worker deaths going on at the moment, but at this point in the game, these Vikings normally, wouldn't want to get 10 with the Mutas, but there's so many that can one-shot them. He's got to be careful though, cutting back towards the turrets, definitely wants to get those involved with the fight. If he can get a Thor in there too, even better, but again, Vikings not really the focus of his army, so it's okay to lose 1 or 2. He's really moving towards those Ravens. True has actually made some mistake here where he's not rallying the Locusts. This is rather unfortunate. Because, whether it's picking off some damage out of Thor or not, it's, yeah, it's still just supposed to be rallied forward. That sort of slow siege. Meanwhile, bottom left corner of the map, True starts taking the bases. He did this before. I really like the concept, again, of taking all the bases on the map, even if you don't plan to mine from them, just to physically remove the option of your opponent putting down a command center, floating CC, an orbital, whatever, making a planetary. It removes that option from play entirely. So you can goop it up with the Overlord, sure, but taking the hatchery is just a much better way to go about it. 2 SCVs diligently being good guys, preparing the Viking here, as it takes out this Overlord. Sadly, all 3 are about to die. No, the 3 amigos! Rip. This command center is also going to die. He starts running it away immediately. That's not going to be fast enough. Wrecked. But this is the bane of every Zerg player's existence. Once Ravens get out and play, once Ravens get out in this... Why did Skype go off busy? Don't make that... Oh, because it's on the go. Hang up on me. Sorry about the guys. Annoying sounds. But he takes out so many of these Mutalisks. Oh my god, he removes so much of these from the field. In fact, how many just died there? Oops. Nope. Pressed the wrong buttons. 30. Oh, good. The Swarmos are actually not quite getting much done here. Meanwhile, this army has managed to position itself quite well. You might not know about the bottom left. You will in a moment, but these siege tanks are meant to be hitting that mineral line. There we go. Not the one up here. So, pretty cool to watch these all zoomed in. Look at that, look at that. A Ling's gonna flood him from behind, but some Hellbats actually were not brought with this, so that could be a small problem. Thors are going to just shell away. Meanwhile, the Vikings clean up their side of the map. You know, all the Mutalisks gone. He's still investing in more, but the thing is, he's going to lose all of his Overlords again. This happened before. True went down to like 86 supply cap. If he's not careful, it's going to happen again. Bottom left base is completely cleaned up. Tanks move forward, but that's okay because this was an awkward run by. SCVs pulled to repair, and the Vikings starting to move away. The thing too is these Ravens can start dropping auto turrets. Oh, look at these spore crawlers! I don't know if that was made by coincidence or anticipation. That worked out pretty sick. A couple of these Ravens are going to die. That's really unfortunate. Not enough energy to point defense turn them to safety, but still making more CCs behind this. Tries to take his gold. Oops, denied by creep. Top right corner of the map has finally been secured. And with all the Mutalisks having been removed, like now he doesn't really have to worry about throwing down 400 turrets at each base. Is he still going to put a couple down? Yeah, for sure. But now he doesn't have to worry about over-investing into them. The Swarm House. Oh, what? Quay? It's like the weirdest ninja base ever. This is all sorts of awkward. The army's actually moving into this. Here comes the Mutas once again. But well, it's not the threat of clumping. You can't deal with this Viking count. The one-shot everything. The attack speed is relatively fast, and point defense turns will help nullify damage. And if the Mutas decide to stack for whatever reason, a couple of Seeker missiles will actually deal with Mutas quite nicely. Abducts are soon to go off though if he's not careful, so they gotta keep the Ravens in safety's sake. He needs these to protect the tanks with point defense drones more than anything else. The Swarmos, though, now boxed in a pretty bad spot. As he moves forward, the Thors, after this Locust Wave goes out... Oh, actually, the Thors should be able to deal with this if you just get that detection from the Ravens. Meanwhile, top right has been compromised. A small Ling run by and a lot of Mutalisks coming in. These turrets are not going to hold the base, sadly. They're going to deal a ton of damage before going down, but actually, the planetary cleans up the Lings. He could have repaired this, but I don't think he was paying attention. Blinding Cloud is now coming down. And he's got to get back home with his Vikings. He needs to protect these starports. This is his production. This is where his life hinges on. Loses a base like that really sucks. He's going to lose the top right too. Finally cleans up the gold, but hasn't landed it yet because he hasn't realized the creep's finally receded. He takes away another base from True, but True's still mining off of his gold while this goes on. So both players taking that hit to their economy. I think Fantasy just takes a much harder hit though. Down on 34 SCVs and doesn't have a lot to do. Another 30 have died since he lost this base as well. And this is falling apart pretty quickly if he's not careful. Does manage to sneak out that CC that he built down here. Should be able to land it. Ew, he's just floating everything. There we go. It's like the opposite of do you lift, like do you even land, bro? Come on, get down there now. There we go. That's posturing for good fights. I mean, both players could easily throw this game with one bad engagement. With the investment in Mutalisks that True's gone for here on 45, a couple of good Thor volleys end your life, a couple of good Widowmine shots or Seeker missiles. It's still going to be really hard to engage into the Viking count. 23 Vikings might not seem like that much, but the reason he can't engage is combination point defense drones, Thors, and more than anything else, a Seeker missile going off in that army. The last thing you want to have happen. Although... it might actually be the first thing he wants to have happen. If he can get a Seeker missile on one of his Mutas and fly that Muta directly into the heart of the Vikings, Fantasy will lose this game, and he'll lose this series. So both players have to be incredibly careful with everything they do. I do like the infestors that came out but for True behind this. We're not going to see them used anytime soon, but should Fantasy get a little bit greedy, go out of position, over eager, we'll see that fungal come down and the army will probably die. Tanks, please! You have no reason to be in this fight. Bottom left corner of the map got muled pretty heavily as he tries to secure this gold. I guess that is one of the other points too. Like, True's been mining off this gold for quite some time, so he's had that momentum going for him. Fantasy's finally kind of quote-unquote catching up in that regard. Man, I'm waiting for that infestor though. Get that sick fungal. That's why we got the tanks here, to make sure that those go down pretty quickly. Fungal's the tanks to hold them in place, oddly enough. Fungal growth only deals about 30 damage though, so not gonna hurt too hard. But if he does land that fungal on the Ravens, don't you make any mistake, guys. He'll dive for it and he'll go hard. But the tanks are pushing quite nicely here underneath us. Getting the army for the air, just sitting back. Not like you can use burrow tactics here either. The Ravens have got all that detection, and the Vikings looking pretty well. I like the Banshees too, but still, no cloak on these is going to make them a little bit harder to maximize their potential. Still going to more mutas. True might try and bait out a base trade again like last time. I don't know, but another base is going to go down here for Fantasy. This really sucks. Continue to push forward here with these siege tanks. Will draw off that middle line, and infestors have got to be careful. He's actually going to try and catch this Thorin with a fungal growth and infested Terrans. It'll actually work out pretty well, I think. Meanwhile, the air army is making its way back home, trying to make it not so obvious this time, so perhaps actually catch the mutas. But I mean, how else will you catch the mutas? There's no fungal growth for a Terran player. You're just gonna have to hope True doesn't run away. And True does run away. Meanwhile, tanks continue to run by and just demolish everything in their path. They're so good at killing buildings, but that fungal growth goes down. He needs to get some auto turrets on the ground here promptly. Some secret missiles gonna go off. We'll see if those dud out. They do dud. This gives the Ravens time to back up and try to recover, but again, all it's going to take is like 1 or 2 bad seconds here for this to go really badly very quickly. Secret missiles perhaps on the Mutalisks, no coming down. We do have point defense drones though, and this is going to force them to back up, and True has to keep disengaging on account of this. There's a couple of swarm hosts here, but on the other side, like while this is going on, like everything has been lost. There's one base mining for True. He's got a pretty decent bank going for him, but he's lost all these other hatcheries, and this has been a bit of a rough ride for him. Now, as Fantasy comes back home, I really hope he repairs this army. It's going to take a lot of SCVs, a lot of time to repair it, but his army, in my opinion, is a little bit better, a little more efficient, especially with those Thors versus the potential Mutaclumps. Even if you spread, though, the Mutas, again, point defense drones, auto turrets, Vikings, there's so much going for Fantasy when it comes to sniping off these Mutalisks. But again, the fungal growths are going to be the biggest threat at the end of the day, trying to land a couple. A secret missile goes off on the Mutalisk. Does he realize this, though? I don't think so. He's got the Mutalisk clumped up. Big hits going off, and he loses a ton of Mutalisk. Goes from 30 to 69. Killed. Really nice shots there. This actually changes up the fight quite dynamically. Now the Mutalisk count is not out of control. It is actually quite manageable, and it continues to push forward. Oh, for Fantasy, I love those tank run-bys earlier. They did great work. There's really not a lot to stop them here on the ground. Again, point defense drones coming down. Who needs secret missiles if the Mutas can't touch you? Those volleys from this are looking pretty good, and this continues to just produce Thors. He's still mining off this gold. It's a low econ situation for both players, but it's a little less low here for Fantasy. In fact, if True's not careful, he might lose the game the same way Fantasy did last time, where he just loses all of his buildings. Vikings taking out what little overlords there are. This is going to supply block in the most harsh of ways his opponent. Who at this stage of the game, True's got this nice little bank, but he can't afford to make 10 more overlords. That's all of his bank. Another command center is going to fall, and meanwhile, auto turrets come down all over the main. All over these overlords going to die, and well, back at home, where are these Thors rallied out? Thors and Ravens of Plenty. I think this is looking pretty gosh darn good for Fantasy. Still though, yeah, with 62 supply, it's gonna take like a major throw to lose this game, I feel. That fungal looking pretty good. No follow-up to it, sadly. Point defense drones come down. They nullify the glaive orbs. Pew, 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 pew. GG is called. We're going to go to game number 5. The ace match between these two players. Fantasy and True. One more game to decide who goes to the finals to fight against Yanghua. In the meantime, it's been 48 minutes. I'm going to plan ahead, guys. See you in a few minutes with game number 5.
Always rearranging. Always rearranging. Always rearranging. Who we are, that is constantly changing. Always rearranging. Always rearranging. Constantly changing. Always rearranging. Always rearranging.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, we're currently looking to get into the last game of this series. Some small confusion on who's hosting, but we're getting that sorted right now. Okay, Dead Wings to the last map. Oh, let's take a big stretch here. Got a best of 7 after this too, son of a gun. No complaints though, because they're all fantastic players. That means good old-fashioned StarCraft 2. True Fantasy having some chit chat here. I don't know what they're saying, but they're a little bit of something. But okay, hello to anyone just joining us. We're going into Game 5 of the semifinals. Yanghua has already beaten out Impact 3-1. Yeah, go. Whenever I'm ready. Impact already beat out, or sorry, Yanghua already beat Impact out 3-1. He's in the finals. He's been waiting this whole time. We've had 2 fairly long games and a bit of mech thrown into this, but we're hopping into Deadwing now. It's the last map. It's tied up 2-2. True versus Fantasy. See you in a sec. Alright, welcome back to the OlimoLeague. I'm sadly all alone in the world as we get into this last match for the cast in the semifinals. There's a best of 7 grand finals. And of course, the winner of this game, the winner of this series will go on to fight against Yanghua. So Protoss players, I know a lot of you came from Deso stream earlier hoping to see some Protoss. I'm sorry that it's taken so long, but ready to rock and roll. Spawning in the bottom right corner of the map, it's going to be the Blue Terran Fantasy. Who I guess we're going to have to ask, is it, I don't know, is it going to be Mech again on Deadwing? I guess? I don't know. Spawning here though in the top left corner of the map. It's going to be the like Blue Terran player, or sorry, Zerg player, True, playing for Dead Pixels. Skype is the best co-caster. Oh, that's right. When you do Skype video, it leaves like that stupid, that stupid big Skype thing. Yeah, that's not good. Let me just close that. Okay, so, Deadwing's a really big map. I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm a little bit scared we're gonna see mech again. Here's the thing. I don't speak a lick of Korean. I don't read any of it. I have no idea what they said in the lobby, but I guarantee you it was a lot of talk about mech. Because that tends to be what happens in every other region, whether it's Europe or North America. After coming out of a long mech game, somebody's usually upset, and somebody's usually trying to rationalize it, or vice versa. But, yeah, it's, yeah, we never actually went over the bets for this series. I wonder what's going on for this. Where's this, Oh wow, this was actually surprisingly close. I thought this would have been way more one-sided. We ended up having 9,196 partoofs placed on Fantasy here, and 6,819 on True. So actually, whoever wins should be very interesting results. But at the same time, like, I'm talking about how this possibly could be a long game, and it really, with the fourth base being as easy to secure as it is, for a Terran player, usually the Zerg player responds and does the same. I'm thinking that while it's expected to go to the long game, I really would like to see one of these two go for an all-in. And again, this isn't because, like, oh, Rifkin's so tired, he just wants the game to be over quick, but it's because, like, I really think it would play well into the fact that someone's going to play greedy, and if the other person doesn't, maybe they punish it, maybe they shut him down so hardcore, or maybe they win and go to the finals. I mean, this is the monthly finals after all. There's significantly more money than the $50 prize pool you normally get each week. In fact, let me go look this up really quick, since we've got a very slow start here. We'll keep an eye on gas and the Reapers and all that. But yeah, for the OlimoLeague, every week this goes on. It's a $50 first place prize, and of course it trickles down to fourth after that. But for the monthly finals, it's a $500 prize pool. $250 for first place, $150 for second, and $50 for third and fourth. And there is no third and fourth place match play; they just both get paid out. This is actually kind of cool because I want to segue into this topic of a bit of downtime here. The Patreon program is what supplements the OlimoLeague, guys. Without it, we wouldn't have these weekly tournaments. All you have to do is donate between as little as $1 or more per week, and you get to contribute to the prize pool of this event. You get to pay people like OlimoLeague for staffing purposes and organizing and hosting and coordinating with the players, making sure they're always here on time and not AFK and missing. And of course, it's actually getting to a point where we're getting close to one of the milestones where A, we're going to increase the prize pool for first place on the weekly cups, but B, Base Rate TV is going to get some of that dirty cash. So again, I plead that if you guys have ever considered donating $5 to Base Trade TV, I'd much prefer you donate $1 per week to the OlimoLeague. At any rate, 2 Reapers not quite able to secure that kill. A little bit annoying, but they will be driven off for now. He did not go as high as 3. Had there been a third Reaper on the map, he possibly could have gone for these queens. I guess technically you can still trade out 2 Reapers and get a queen, but that takes a lot more work and usually relies on True not quite paying attention, so I don't think he'll quite get so lucky. Fantasy, though, behind this starts up a factory, starts up a second factory, actually. Where is this at? He's trying to hide it, so this very well could be for Blue Flame. I mean, you're trying to hide mech is one thing, but to put this so far back kind of makes me think another. Especially with the command center coming the way too, he's going to certainly have a lot of money to spend, minerals that is, so we'll see if he dedicates to those Hellions or not. The biggest and best way to tell is, of course, if these get stacked back. So what might end up happening here is he still goes for the 6 Hellions and the 2 Reapers, goes across the map, he does this poke, kind of like you expect, but then banks up 5 or 7 more Hellions at home, waits for Blue Flame to finish, then bam, one big powerhouse punch to try and go through True's army, True's base. But we'll see, I'm waiting to see it. Yep, Blue Flame, bam! Okay, I really like this move. It's such a, it's... People are really getting mad at us saying borderline today, but this really is like borderline all in. This can cause a lot of damage and allow you to recover very easily, as long as it goes unscouted. But if it gets scouted, we get a full wall off, and then either Fantasy has to choose to chew through an Evo Chamber wall or try and go through rocks, neither which are preferable when you've got units like Hellions going for Blue Flame. So I'm not sure what these Hellions here are looking for, trying to go around the sneaky side of the map, but at the same time, for True back at home, I like this getting rid of these rocks. It eliminates even the potential chance of a tank being dropped back here. It is Deadwing after all, we see that quite frequently, which is why I was hesitant to call that Blue Flame, but with no Starport coming up, it was the only build that really made a lot of sense. Ryong, actually, Axiom's Ryong made great use of this in his WCS runs for the qualifiers, and we'll see if we can see a repeat of that here. I haven't really seen a lot of Blue Flame use since then, but they can do a lot of damage. So people are confused about what I explained here for the OlimoLeague, guys. What's really nice is if you actually check out the Patreon program, OlimoLeague's actually gone as far as to outline where every dollar goes. So if you're confused about what I just described and I did a poor job of it, I probably did, just go to the Patreon page. It outlines it there. It shows you $50 goes to this, $25 goes to that, blah, blah, blah. It's all outlined there. It's pretty transparent. But these Hellions come, and I guess he got wind of this somehow, somewhere, some way, so the full evils go down. I don't know if he's expecting Blue Flame, but he was expecting all of these extra Hellions, so... I mean, he'll eventually chew through this wall, but as we see, it's taking a little bit of time. Transfuses, there's about one ready. I'm gonna pop it on this. No, maybe. No, what's the Evil Chamber die? More Hellions coming up behind this. The mutants are on the way, but I'm not sure if they'll be out in time. These Zerglings, of course, are a little bit tentative to get involved because they're worried about this. Oh, there's a big counterattack going off while this is going on. That's why he's not paying attention at all. I guess the depots were down, and looks like True actually may lock up this series. Fantasy down 16 SCVs, and his Hellions have pretty much fizzled out on the other side of the map. So great move here out of True. But Fantasy, man, oh, he gets caught off guard with his pants down in a big way. Now, he's got 3 CCs, so recovery off of this is not impossible, but very improbable. Down to 25 SCVs. He's making the transition back to Bio afterwards, so, I mean, his tech labs are... I guess, actually, it stays intact, but, yeah, he's down too much. GG, ladies and gentlemen, True will go to the...